In solving any partial fraction, what matters most is the denominator. So what I mean by the denominator is the guy at the time here, right? You just have to check whether this x has exponents, maybe 2 or maybe 3 or and so on and so forth. So let's look at how to solve a different type of partial fraction with different denominators. Here we are having a denominator to be x minus 2, here to be what? X plus 3, right? It doesn't have any x squared and so on and so forth. So what matters here, we can split this guy into 2. It's okay, straightforward. So how do you do that? You are just repeating the denominator here, right? So here the first one will take what? S minus 2, and then the plus, remember here is plus what? S plus what? Plus 3 here. So these two denominators are what we are having at the time here. So the denominator here will determine what you must get at the top here. Okay, so here straightforward, if this guy doesn't have any s squared and so on and so forth, so all that will be on top here will just be what? A here can be just any number, right? This is just a number, right? You can even use a small letter here. So here to the same thing, here can be what? Can be b, right? The reason is that this x here doesn't have any s squared and so on and so forth. Now how do you proceed from here? So the way of solving this, you must know how to solve like a fraction. Maybe let's say 1 over 2 plus 2 over 3. You must know how to solve this. So here you need to find the LCM, that is the least common multiple. So what is the LCM between these two fractions here is what? The x minus 2 and the s plus 3, right? Because you don't know the values of the x here, so you are just repeating the two guys to be what? The LCM. So this is the LCM. So what do you do with the LCM? With the LCM here, you need to how many times this guy can go into the LCM. So as you can see, this guy will cancel that, right? So we are left with just what? S plus 3 and then multiply by the top one. Is that okay? So here you are going to get a into brackets of s plus 3 here, right? The same applies to the second guy. So plus what? So this guy will go into the denominator. The s plus 3 will cancel the s plus 3, so you are left with what? This guy here, that is what? S minus 2 here multiplied by the top one, right? So this b, so plus what? S minus 2. So this is how simple you solve this type of partial fraction here. So what do you do next? The next step is to equate the top one, right? You have to equate only the top one, and then you find the values of the a and b. If you want to know how to solve this thing fully, you may subscribe to the YouTube channel to watch that. So let's look at the second type of fraction that we are having. So how do you express the denominator here? So here you are having the denominator. In partial fraction, the denominator is the most important thing. So first thing, you have to check whether you can express this to be like a s without a squared. That is your aim here. Is that okay? If you can factor them out, that is okay. If you cannot, we will just have a look at some other example that the denominator we cannot factor them in just a few minutes. But here we are having a denominator to be what? S squared minus 1, another one to be s plus 3. So you ask yourself, can you simplify this guy? You see this guy is having the square here. Can you simplify it to be something of this nature here without any exponent? That is the key here. Yes, of course, this guy, we can rewrite this s squared minus 1 to be equal to, if you solve it, that should be s plus 1 and then s minus 1, right? This just only the first part. Is that okay? This is how you can simplify this guy to be like. So for that reason, we can rewrite the denominator here to be what? S minus 1 for the first guy, and then s plus 1, right, for the second. Then remember that we have another denominator here, that will be what? S plus 3. Sorry, s plus 2 here. So here, down here, we are going to have what? S plus 2 as well. Is that okay? Since the denominators are just straightforward, what I mean by the straightforward, they don't have any squared here, right? Or maybe exponent 3 or and so on and so forth. So from the first example, this one, the guy at the top will just be a, and then here will be what? B, as well as here will be what? C, right? They are just a simple numbers. Is that okay? So this is how you have to solve this type of problem as well. Okay, now how do you proceed from here? Here you must just apply the first method here. You find the LCM of all the three guys here, and then you do your thing and then move on. If you want to know how to solve this, don't worry, you may subscribe to the YouTube channel to watch more on these examples. Now here's another one. You're having the denominator to be what? 1 minus what s squared. It's just similar to this one. Is that okay? Just similar to the first guy here. So you ask yourself, can you split this one into 2? If you can solve this guy to simple factor, now you understand what I mean by the simple factor here. So you rewrite this guy to look like what s minus 1, and then the second one should be s plus 1, right? Here there's a mistake here, so you need here should be what s plus 1. Is that okay? So this is how you can rewrite this guy to look like. So you know exactly. So the denominator will determine what will be on the top here, right? The guy at the down will determine who will be on top. So if you have something like this, you know exactly what to be. This will just be a number, right? That should be a, and then here should be what b. The reason is that the exponent of the s is not raised to any power here, right? So that is why we are having just a number at the top here. Okay, now let's move on to the next one and see that. Now here we are having the denominator to be x minus 2 everything squared, right? So the square here tells you that this is what 2 times, right? This one happens for 2 times. So the first one occur before the second one. Of course, maybe in counting you need to move from 1 before you go to the 2, meaning that 1 has already been there, right? So the same with this scenario, you can even rewrite this one to be what, meaning that the x minus 2 here has already happened before the s minus 2 squared what happened, right? Just in this scenario here. So how do you write this denominator here? So this denominator will be what, the s minus 2, which is the first one before this guy happens, the s minus 2 squared, right? So this guy happened before this guy. Is that okay? So this one happened before this guy. So here we are having what, s minus 2 plus what, s minus 2 squared, right? This is what we call a repeated. The guy is repeating how many times? 2. So this is the first guy before what the second one follows. So you see this x here, the most important thing is that the x here is not having any exponent. So if it doesn't have any exponent here, whatever will be at the top here will just be what, any number, right? So I'm using this a here to be what, a number. It can be a small letter, don't worry about that. So here will just be what, b. Is that okay? Don't be confused with this one because the x here is not squared, is everything squared. So the guy here will still be what, a number. Once the x is squared, don't, we will just solve an example that looks similar to this one right now, right? Okay, so this is what we call what, a repeated what, a factor here. So look at this one, look at this one. Here we are having what, the denominator to be what, s plus 2 everything raised to the power 3, right? S plus 2 all cube, right? So meaning that this guy is repeating how many times? 3 times. So you move from 1 and then you go to 2 as well as 3. Is that okay? So what will be the effect? This is what is repeating itself, right? This guy is repeating itself 3 times. So this is the first one. That will be the first denominator here plus what, the second one. Have you seen this guy counts, right? And then plus what, the third one. Is that okay? So the third one will be what, s plus 2 everything raised to the power 3, right? So this is how you, this is what we call what, a repeated what, denominator, right? Repeated factor. So of course the top will just be a, b, and then plus c. So here you just pick your LCM and then move and solve that. If you enjoyed this video, you may consider subscribing to the YouTube channel for more content. Is that okay? So we will solve all this example one by one, so make sure that you subscribe to the channel to see exactly how you can solve this problem here. Now look at this another example here. So with this denominator here, we are having the s squared into bracket 2s minus 1, right? Meaning that the x squared here, meaning s is repeating itself what, 2 times, right? So the first one will just be what, x, and then the second one will be what, s squared, right? And then followed by what, s cubed. But we are not yet in the third column here, so we end out with the second guy here. So this is what we are going to have, s and then s squared, right? And then we add this one to that. So the denominators are going to be 3. So here we are having the x here and then plus, oh, the second one will be x squared and then plus the final one, that is the 2s minus 1, which is exactly what we are having, right? And then the top, what do you think will be the top? Maybe comment down below, write your answer in the comment section below. Is that okay? Okay, now finally we are having a very nice guy here that the denominator is what, x plus 2 as well as what, a quadratic. So this is what we call a quadratic, meaning that the x squared what plus what 4s plus 5 is a quadratic because this x is being what squared in. Now look at this guy. This is something that we already know, right? This guy here is something that we already know, so that we are just repeating the first person. So what about this? What about this portion here? So this guy here, you just have to check whether you can factorize, right? You just have to check whether you can solve the quadratic here. So of course the first person will be what, s plus 1 plus 2 here. That is what we are having here, right? What about the second one? You check whether you can solve this quadratic to factor it into two different what factorization, right? Something like this. If you cannot solve this, if you cannot get any factor into these two guys, that is maybe x minus something or s plus something here to s plus or something of that nature, if you cannot, then your denominator here will be what, the x squared plus or 4s plus 5 as it is. The reason is that you cannot factor these two guys, right? You cannot factor the quadratic here. Is that okay? Of course, if you forget how to solve a quadratic equation, just comment that below. You just need to find your a. So in this case it's 5, and then here is also a b, right? So b is for, you find the factors of these two guys and then you do your factorization. If you don't know how to solve it, just comment down below. Is that okay? Now in this scenario here, you cannot get any two factors that can suit this quadratic. So for that reason, remember the first one here is just going to be what, a, because of this denominator here, and then the second one, look at the second one here, the second guy here, because we cannot factor, so the guy will be on top of it, will just be what, bx and then plus c. Bx plus c, meaning that, look at what is happening. We are taking this guy away, meaning that your younger brother, right, your younger sister or your younger brother, you are the elderly person holding what, the square here. So the one that will follow you will be what, 4s plus what, plus 5. Is that okay? Meaning that we are taking the s squared what out of the guy that will be on top here. Is that okay? The one on top should be smaller than the one on down. That is the key here, right? The one on top should be smaller than what, the one on down. So in this case the x here is being squared, but here we don't have any square, meaning that you are smaller than what, the guy down here. So this is how you solve some of what the partial fractions in your exams questions. So subscribe to the YouTube channel for more content like this.